Okay, so this is our last Raw heading into the Battleground pay-per-view. So we begin with John Cena in the ring, then he gets interrupted by Roman Ryback as they then discuss their match, as well as their six-man tag. And then the promo gets saved by Dean Ambrose, cutting an awesome promo, only to get jumped by the Authority, which is, of course, Orton, Rollins, and Kane. Now, he was supposed to tag with Reigns and John Cena. The beatdown that happens is a pretty long beatdown. I guess Cena and Reigns either just left the ring like, oh man, they're whooping their crap over our tag team partner. Yeah. We think we should go back there and help out? Try to save our tag team partner? No. So the next thing they show us, we're going to be sitting in a locker room. Really weak. And that match, I don't know if Rollins got injured towards the end of it or what, but it ended just really bizarre. Of course, it ended in a no finish, but it was just really bland. It seemed like they were going to end up okay, so Orton hits an RKO on Kane, because there's tension between Kane and Orton. Alright. And then all of a sudden there's a big spear by Roman Reigns. It's well, he be the person who does it. No, it's going to be Cena. Cena's going to retain so they can push Cena Brock Lesnar. Because Brock Lesnar is the one in 21-1 who will be the person to defeat John Cena. Even though when Lesnar made his triumphant return and he came back, and at Extreme Rules he took on John Cena in Chicago, and John Cena beat him. It's so we're supposed to believe that now that's going to be an awesome match of Survivor Series. Okay. The Miz, in his new Hollywood Miz gimmick, took on Sheamus in a decent match. It was a nice precursor for the Intercontinental Battle Royal match. And he got a roll-up victory on Sheamus, so Sheamus lost clean. That almost never happens. But their match was okay. Dolph Ziggler and Fandango had another match, but this time there was also Summer Rae and Layla on the outside, who did a table dance which distracted Fandango, allowing Ziggler to get the victory. And then Ziggler had to choose between the blonde or the brunette. And Ziggler's choice was yes. And then they walked off. So I guess he'll never get a push to any sort of main event status, but he'll get kissed by both Summer Rae and Layla. So I guess Fandango will now be tagging with the new 3MB of Heath Slater, Titus O'Neil, and I guess Fandango in the Future Endeavored group. Bo Dallas came out and talked about how even though El Torito was small, he had a big heart, and then he hoped that his next opponent would have a heart just as big. It was the Great Khali. Bo Dallas beat him by countout because he was his mind. He knew that once he had Great Khali on the outside of the ring, the running Bodog, that Khali could not get into the ring. Believe. The Usos were coming down to have a match. They just got beat down by the Wyatts. That 2 out of 3 falls match has every bit the opportunity to be a show-stealing match. Their match at Money in the Bank was one of the best tag matches I have seen since the Usos took on the Shield. That match was just fantastic. And a 2 out of 3 falls is going to be, the match is going to be a little bit longer. We're going to see a couple, we'll see 3 finishes. But I would love to see the Wyatts walk away as champs. I think the Wyatts walk away as champs, it then allows them to take on the team of the Dust Brothers. Because, the tag division now is 4 teams, which is horrible. It needs to be at least 5. I'm not going to count Slater and Titus O'Neil because they had 1 match. I want to see Wyatts win that match. I think that's what makes that work. Jericho came out, cut an awesome promo taking on Bray Wyatt. Then Bray Wyatt cut a promo. And the craziest thing happened. The crowd chanted boring during his promo. It was a nice promo. So I don't know if, since John Cena pretty much destroyed Bray Wyatt practically all 3 matches. I'm really not going to count, you know, using like a 5-year-old with a voice synthesizer to beat John Cena. That's kind of shady. And if that's the only way you could beat John Cena is by using like demonically possessed children, it's. I think his stock was so high going into face Cena, the lack of a clean victory, or even making Cena do something slightly out of character, just really, really hurt him. And the fact that he hasn't really had a significant pay-per-view win since the Royal Rumble. Jericho is going to need to put Bray Wyatt over. If it's like a Ziggler way where he loses to, where he wins the pay-per-view, Jericho, but then loses on Monday Night Raw, that still works. But he has to do something to really push the credibility of Bray Wyatt. Memorial Del Rio and Rob Van Dam had another match. But this time they were just off. And it was weird. Because those 2 guys are really solid in-ring competitors. They were just off. So Del Rio still got the victory. Leading in to the 30-man Intercontinental Battle Royal. I have no idea who's going to win that one. I think it'd be great to see Kofi Kingston win it, but I'm not putting my hopes very high on Kofi Kingston winning it. Cesaro, not with Paul Heyman, took on Big E Langston, Kofi Kingston in his corner. Big E Langston got the victory. It's nice. It's a good match. Solid match. Strong match. Worked well. Continued the narrative between Cesaro and Kofi Kingston. That worked well. Those 2 had some brutal beatdowns. And that makes for some very solid, entertaining television. Or would they do more of that? Nikki Bella took on the combined might of Alicia Fox and Cameron. In the match that can only be described as fast forward. And they beat her. AJ Lee took on Ava Marie because, you know, Total Divas is now on the the WWE network, so they have to put Ava Marie in matches. In a match that was one of Ava Marie's best matches. You can quote me on that one. But what really did it was Paige was doing some commentary about how great it is to see AJ. AJ comes down, and it has one where AJ is sitting in CM Punk style, looking at her. And Paige's like, AJ, I really love your hair. Really? 'Cause I love your hair, too. And it's this really weird sort of, they're creepily nice to each other. And I'm hoping their match at Battleground starts out kind of nice. And if they end on amicable terms, that just means that when they go vicious, it's going to be insane. I do think this means a rubber match. I think that AJ needs to retain. So that way then they can still kind of work with that feud a little bit. But I think this feud will only really take off once Paige goes heel and goes anti-diva. I think that's when that feud is really going to take off. They need to first have that kind of go to the back burner a little bit. Cameron and Naomi needs to resolve itself. Naomi needs to get her shot at AJ, or even Natalya get a shot at AJ. You need to do something else with that. Have someone else transition into a feud with Paige. To build those 2 back up again to really, really ignite a really solid feud of Divas today with those 2. Lana and Zeb Coulter had a debate of sorts, which pretty much led into Rusev and Jack Swagger the pay-per-view. I think Rusev is an unstoppable tank right now. I don't picture Swagger being the one to get the victory over him. There was a big deal about 7-14-14. Sting tweeted about it. People thought this was going to be the night that Sting was going to make his debut. Flair came down, talked about who he thought was going to win the Fatal 4-Way, and then left. But on to Sting. If you pre-order 2K15, you get not 1, but 2 generations of Sting. So I guess Sting's debut was via a video package of Sting. Crowd went nuts. Of course, we're in Virginia, which made sense to talk about Sting in Virginia. But he didn't show up. So all the reports that were like, he's totally showing up, 7-14-14. Sting has signed and he's going to be there. He's totally going to be there. He's really, really going to be there. He wasn't there. He was there for the video game. So Will the sun rise tomorrow? I guess if you either call my 1-800 number, my 1-900 number, sorry, 1-800 be toll free. Call my 1-900 number or subscribe to my newsletter and find out.